PK in the universe, and I am back again with another Evercade video. And today we're here to talk about legacy carts. What are the Evercade Legacy carts? Just in case you don't know, and this is maybe your first time here or you're not as familiar with Evercade, well, the legacy carts are the 4 games that Blaze, who creates the Evercade stuff, is no longer producing. These are cartridges that are out of production. I actually did a video a while back where I discussed the 4 Evercade games that are out of production, the legacy carts, and where I would personally rank them. There are some good games on these legacy carts. At the end of the day, would I tell people you need to go out and get those games right away, pay scalper prices? No, I would not encourage people to pay, over retail if, those games are still available at Fun Stock. I would say go get them at Fun Stock. Don't overpay for those games because yes, there's some really cool games on there. In fact, a lot of the cool games on like the Namco Collection 2 are great to play in Tate mode on the Evercade EXP. Rotate mode, Tate mode, yeah. And there's some good games on there, but at the end of the day, if it's just purely for the whole I want to play these games, let's be honest, there's a lot of different ways you can play some of these games other places. So if I would not say overpay for those games. The legacy games are cool, they're cool, and that's what they show up now on the Evercade official website. Is there's like a little red label that says legacy on these 4 games. So if you're curious to what they are, it's Technos Collection 1, it's Namco Collections 1 and 2, and it's the Oliver Twins Collection. But what's going to be the next one? What's going to be the next Evercade out of production game? What is going to be the next Evercade out of production cartridge, that legacy cartridge? That's what I want to talk about today, because I have some crazy conspiracy harebrained theories that might interest you, and maybe you have your own theories as well, which I want to hear in the comment section. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what I think are the most likely out of production carts or legacy cartridges. There's only 2 that I can think of off the top of my head. And the first one I'm going to talk quite a bit about, and the other one I'm going to, kind of lightly touch on. So here we go. First up, I think the next one, it should be obvious if you're actually looking at the back of my TV here. I think it's going to be Pico Interactive 1. But why? Why Pico Interactive 1? Did I just pull this game out of a hat? Am I just grabbing a random cart? Of course not. I think this is an amazing collection. It's super awesome. But there's one really strange thing I noticed recently. I found out about this from Evecade. He was talking about some games he had bought on Steam. Originally when he bought, I think it was Dracon and Dragon View, both those games originally said published by Pico Interactive. Now all of a sudden they say published by Atari. Atari. Why is Atari publishing these games that are on Evercade? Well, there's a reason for that. Because originally Infogrames was the original developer of Dracon, and like Chemco, I want to say, was the publisher, and Dragon View as well. These are both originally Infogrames properties. The thing about Infogrames is Infogrames was known as Infogrames at least from 1983 to about 2009. And the thing about Infogrames acquired several different companies over time, over its long period of history. Eventually, one of those companies was Atari. It started out as like it was kind of a merger deal, and then eventually they bought out the majority and they totally rebranded themselves as Atari. So the Infogrames we knew from back in the day is Atari now, and the Atari we know. So I could see a lot of different scenarios playing out when the time comes, when the license to Pico Interactive expires, when Blaze can no longer continue to make this game without re-upping the license, because I don't think they have a lifetime license with Pico Interactive anyways. That'd be kind of weird if they did. So what could happen? What are the possibilities? I see a couple different scenarios. When the time the license expires, I could see Blaze being like, well, we just don't want to renew it, and that's that. Or I could see a situation where Pico Interactive is like, hey, we can renew this, but we can't have these 2 games. Or they also could be like, well, we could put these other 2 games on here instead. Because they have other games, of course, that they could put on a theoretical revision of Pico 1. That, funny enough, a lot of those games, of course, they bought from Atari. Or Infogrames, depending on, So I think there's some possibilities that could happen. Or maybe Pico Interactive's like, we can't renew this, period. But then again, also, since Atari has such a good relationship with Blaze, maybe they're like, okay, that's okay if you keep those games on there, if there's an addendum, and maybe they get a little piece of the money too. Because the thing is, I would imagine that Blaze has a decent relationship with Atari. In fact, Blaze, I want to say, way back before Evercade, they had made a handheld Atari console that was digital only. Maybe there was an SD card slot there or something, I'm not sure. And, of course, there's been five Atari carts have been on Evercade. So I have to imagine that, maybe they'll work something out. I think that's a strong possibility that they could just work something out. Or, again, they could just not publish the card anymore. It just becomes a legacy, which, it is what it is. I mean, there's some really cool games on here. I think this is one of the very best Evercade carts out there. But, if it's time comes, it's time comes. And again, like I said, some of these games are available to buy on Steam or available physically from Pico Interactive, I believe, and other places. So, it's not like they're lost for all eternity. This is a great, cheap, affordable option. So it would be kind of a bummer if we lost it, but, it is what it is. Now, the next one I don't have as much to say about because I think it's kind of obvious. I mentioned that Technos 1 was, of course, a legacy game. What about the Technos Arcade Collection? What if the owners of the Technos license are like, hey, it's like, we don't really want to re-up again, I mean, they chose to do that with the first one, so who's to say they wouldn't do the exact same thing? Which would be a shame, because I actually would like to see a Technos 2 collection on Evercade, because that's one I would definitely want to pick up, because there's some really great games that came from Technos. So this is one that could possibly become a legacy game. So those are my thoughts on what are the possibilities of games that could become future legacy cards. What are your guys' thoughts? Are there some collections you think, oh man, Blaze might not be interested in re-upping, or even the other company might not be interested, or maybe of some games that are on specific carts that are, going to a different, or those rights are being purchased away, maybe something like that. Comment below. Love to hear what you have to say. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and stay awesome in this universe. Thanks. Bye.